So with that, I want to introduce our first speaker, who's an amazing researcher, and I'm delighted we're going to have a chance to talk about where all this is headed. So please help me welcome to the stage Senior Fellow at the Stanford Institute for Human-Centered AI, Yejin Choi. Thank you so much for being here. You know, obviously, I think it's hard to deny these large language models that we're all benefiting from have been incredible. But you've been very clear that that's not the only game in town, maybe not even the end game. What do you think happens if we don't get out of this text-only, next token prediction sort of paradigm? What needs to change?
Well, there are multiple things that could change, but at the end of the day, I do think that large language models can be smaller yet more powerful. So let's walk back a little bit. Currently, there's a lot of investment just to scale things up, which is great because we get to see the limit of what scaling does bring to us. But historically, whenever there's invention of computers and cell phones, there's new next generations that come out that becomes smaller but better. Likewise, small language models, especially in the open source community, has been becoming ever more powerful, and it's been very exciting. And I do think that with more innovations, we can definitely make models that are more affordable yet much more powerful. And in doing so, we do need to do a lot of innovations, algorithmic innovations, by joining forces together across academia and industry.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because obviously I like it when I can do things on my cell phone that I couldn't do before, and I like it when my cell phone's a little smaller. But with models, it's not immediately obvious, I think, if you're not in the field, why smaller might be better. One thing is it can run on your device, maybe. It's less costly to operate. What are the other advantages of small models, and how are they already? Because they're already being used. How are they already used, and why are they beneficial?
Right, it's already being used a lot, and so what's the point of making smaller models? So the tricky thing about the current way we all rely on LLM APIs is that it's by and large created by a few very rich tech companies in a country or two. Okay, what possibly could go wrong with that?
We were talking about that earlier. I was asking May Habib from Writer, does it matter that 7 men in the US and China are at the helm of all the innovation? And yeah, it could be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I trust that they're all very well-intended people, at least at the beginning. But, in the long run, it's going to be much more comforting when all of us can create AI, not just a few, right? So in terms of democratization of generative AI, the way that I like to think about is that AI should be of human, for human, by human. And, of human because AI really reflects human values and human knowledge reflected in the internet, which is the artifact of human intelligence. And AI for human because AI should benefit all of the humanity, not just a few who are in power. And then finally, AI by humans in the sense that all of us should be able to create it, not just some. And, in the end, thank you.
We have a few humans in the audience, so that worked out well.
Yeah.
When she gives this talk to a room full of LLMs, it doesn't go nearly as well.
Yeah. No, but what I wanted to add is that, like restaurants, it's nice to have very fancy ones as well as something more affordable and, comforting, right? A variety of different choices. It would be very sad if there's one brand of restaurant just, serving everybody with the similar menus. So I do think that it's really nice to have ecosystem of, medium size, small size, tiny size, large size, very large size, all of the above, depending on your need and your use cases and your budget and everything. I think such a future is coming for sure.
So I also, in addition to the size of the models, I want to talk about something else that you've been working on for a long time, which is this idea of common sense reasoning, things that humans just know without being taught, but our AI systems don't. And it does bother me, and I'm curious if it bothers you, that we're building all these super intelligent systems, supposedly, that have trained on a lot of data, but they don't necessarily, first of all, they don't understand how the real world works, and they don't have at their core a sense of knowledge of this is true. They have a lot of information. So why has common sense reasoning been so hard to do? Because it is harder. And what is the danger if we build systems that aren't more fluid in understanding the world the way that humans do?
Yeah, so you're touching on a really fundamental question in the way that generative AI is baked or made today, which is that it's all super spoon-fed by really a lot of data. Really a lot of data that really articulates all the corner cases in the world. The reason why common sense historically has been challenging for AI is because it's too obvious. People don't really talk about it on the internet. Therefore, it was much harder for LLMs to acquire common sense just by reading internet text. However, these days, of course, there's a lot of post-training, which involves exam-style QA problems as well as human feedback, thumbs up, thumbs down, through which we can inject a large amount of common sense knowledge, and then LLMs today look as if it's more or less have acquired the common sense. But the way that it has acquired is vastly different from how us humans acquire, which is that we just make sense of the world without you having to tell me all the obvious things, which would be a little bit annoying, right? But whereas AI, you have to tell every little nitty-gritty details, and that's also why self-driving car is strikingly hard to deploy all over the globe compared to humans who knows how to drive in one country, one city, can, usually just drive around, any other country, any other city, with just a little bit of learning about local rules, right? But you don't have to memorize all these little corners of the town in order to be able to do so. So this really challenges the fundamental intellectual challenge that AI research faces today, which is the total dependence on the data compared to humans.
And another big trend that I've been hearing about and writing about and going to write more about is around models that self-recursive. Basically, they learn and they train and they get better on their own. And it may seem like we have that today because we're getting new models every few weeks, but the models themselves aren't self-improving. But there's a lot of talk that we're going to start to see that. And I'm curious, do you think this is a breakthrough or a recipe for compounding errors and blind spots?
Excellent question. So self-improving AI, I think this is a real interesting and exciting research topic that it's good that we pursue it. It's not just going to magically become so smart and solve all the challenges without human helping so much. So in reality, in my view, AI is more interpolative than extrapolative. What I mean by more interpolative is that when you show similar examples, it can combine different things in a more averaging way, whereas extrapolation would be something like really going above and beyond what's on the internet, what's known in the human knowledge. So if you do self-improving AI, I don't think it's suddenly going to come up with a cure for cancer or make us all live forever. Because internet data, which is the human knowledge, doesn't yet have ingredients for AI to trivially combine. And so the self-improvement does help, but making the major leap, it's still unclear. I think a lot of research can still make new breakthroughs, though. So, we'll see what happens in the coming years.
Okay. And then also, we hear a lot from the companies, and unfortunately, we hear less from the researchers, and we have fewer and fewer of you because you all go work for the company. So I appreciate your staying at Stanford. But if you could redesign some of the incentives, and I don't, some of the folks have heard me before, I have a magic wand. I sometimes hand it out to guests and let them wave it and make the world they want to make. So if you could redesign the incentives in AI research today, academic, corporate, governmental, what should we stop optimizing for? What should we prioritize differently than we are today?
So as an AI researcher, I'm very happy to see a lot of investment being made to AI, but I really wish that there are more investments made for nonprofit sectors, including academia, because it's good to have investment that's not entirely profit-driven, just so that we balance things out. I'm not saying that the profit companies are necessarily not doing enough of a job, but it's just that it's such a big mission. We need to somehow collaborate together. And compared to how much more investment goes into profit sector, I don't think we're really doing enough job for nonprofit, especially when you think about, by the way, what AI is going to do good for humanity. I don't think making AI solving math problems better will suddenly make the world better, and suddenly, there's like less political tension between
Is there political
parties.
tension right now?
Yeah, point being, different problems require different investigations. Some of these investigations are not very, profitable, and it's okay to pursue such missions through, other routes. So I hope more investment for nonprofit.
And in addition to where the dollars are distributed, and obviously so much more is going in the for-profit sector, it does seem like a few years ago we were having a lot more conversations around the kind of AI we want, addressing issues of bias, income inequality, and as well as safety, some of the existential risks. Are you concerned that that seems to be less in favor these days, and it's just seen as US versus China, as well as a race between the companies themselves?
I think there are concerns still, but perhaps what we come around is that there are many different types of concerns, not just, the word sci-fi style scenario. I think more immediately, at the end of the day, humans are the ones that are scary, not just the AI, right? Because humans are those who do things to each other. And, like humans jailbreak, not AI jailbreaking AI, but it's more like humans jailbreak in order to create content that shouldn't be created. And so we do need to think about, how we address different types of problems, including controlling, AI behavior and sharing knowledge in a more even manner, and so that it's easier for researchers also to do safety research.
Yeah, and I think a lot about misinformation. To your point, I think less about the computers taking over and instead about powerful humans, be they business or government, sort of taking machines that are highly persuasive, capable of persuading large numbers of people at scale about almost anything, and sort of the lack of guardrails right now, keeping a government or a big AI company from, doing something crazy like putting all the people in the world in a bikini, for example.
Yeah. So, I wonder whether we could actually, instead of being passive, feeling passive about this, that AI that is created by someone else might become that way, and it's scary. Instead of thinking that way, I wonder whether we could try to actually constructively think about how we can make AI so that for the first time in the history, humans can really talk to each other. Even if we agree to disagree, somehow we understand each other's differences in a more respectful manner, and somehow be able to really understand and access correct news and correct factual knowledge instead of spreading fake news and misinformation. So I wonder whether there's a role that AI can play such that we can bring more peaceful conversations and discourse among us, instead of just assuming that however things have been historically has to be how things has to be in the future, using AI as a tool.
Well, I can't think of a better place to leave it than that. Thank you so much, Yejin. This was a lovely conversation. Everyone, please give a round of applause. Yejin Choi.
Thanks so much.